Welcome everyone to the very first session of the brand new CK12 Certified Educator program. We're so excited to have you all here for today's launch and our first session called Introduction to CK12. We're coming to you live from the CK12 offices in Palo Alto, California in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm Lindsay, a member of the CK12 team.
And I'm Katie, also a member of the CK12 team. We're so excited that first session of our summer programming. As most of you know, this new CK12 Certified Educator program offers 32 sessions over 4 weeks. We've designed this program specifically for you, the teachers, administrators, curriculum developers, and others who want to use CK12's quality content.
Katie, before we dive into the details of the program and the rest of today's content, let's make sure we introduce everyone to the Zoom webinar platform. When you register for a CK12 webinar, you receive a registration confirmation from Zoom that has a unique link specifically for you.
You can join a webinar session with that unique link, which I'm sure you have all figured out since you're here today, from a desktop computer, a tablet, and even a mobile device. You will receive an email reminder from us 24 hours ahead of your scheduled webinar, as well as 1 hour before the webinar begins. When it's about time, click the link and join the session. Once you are a viewer, you should see 2 different options on your screen, one for Q&A and one for chat.
During today's presentation, or any presentation, whenever you have a question for our moderators, instructors, or guests, please post it in the Q&A window. Our presenters will pause for a Q&A session after each major topic to address any questions that have been submitted. As you guys are discovering, the chat window is the place for community conversation. Whenever you join one of our sessions this summer, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat window. If you're an educator, it'd be great to share where you live or even what grade or subject you teach. Just make sure in the chat window that you're sending any general posts to all panelists and attendees, like we have circled on the screen there, not just to CK12 or panelists.
Also, while we don't anticipate any technical issues during our broadcast, if you are having trouble with your video or your sound, please let us know in Q&A or the chat window, and we'll do our best to help you resolve the issues. Now that you are all comfortable with Zoom, let's get started with today's core content. Today's session is really the foundation for the CK12 Certified Educator program, and our goal today is to get you started. During our webinar, which is scheduled to last about an hour, we're going to give you all of the details about the CK12 Certified Educator program, including what you can expect and how to complete certification. We'll then go into a brief overview of CK12, including who we are, where we started, and how we personalize learning. A lot of people know us for our free digital textbooks, but over the years, we've become so much more than that with our concept-based learning, interactives, and adaptive practice. So we'll go into what concept-based learning means for us. Finally, we'll make sure all of you are signed up and signed in on our site, and we'll give you a quick tutorial to navigate with ease, including an overview of our newest features just launched in the past few months, so even veteran CK12 users will see something new. Also, we're super excited today to have Mira Costa with us. She is the Executive Director and co-founder of the CK12 Foundation, whose vision has kept us going for 10 years. It's really special that she's joining us to share her vision and philosophy with you guys and give you a chance to ask her any questions about CK12.
So what are the requirements and what does it actually mean to become a CK12 certified educator? Well, the first basic requirement is that successful completion of the program means registering for and attending a series of 7 sessions this summer. Of those 7 sessions, 2 are mandatory. This session, Introduction to CK12, and a culminating session called Maximizing Learning with CK12. To help you structure your sessions in a way that best fits your learning needs, we've established training pathways for you to consider when registering.
The first pathway is what we call the content pathway. In this pathway, we cover concept-based modalities and our customizable flexbooks. Whether you're in an adoption cycle and considering going with CK12 resources, or you're already using flexbooks but looking to go beyond the existing books and customize content, this pathway is for you. We're here to help with editing, from basics to embedding practice and using our math editor, and we'll share examples of teaching strategies and how others are using CK12 in their classes.
The second pathway is what we call the intelligent pathway, and it includes sessions on practice, groups, and seeing student progress. The main difference between this pathway and the content pathway is that there is less of a focus on flexbooks and more of a focus on our adaptive practice and intelligence system. This is great for those of you who already customize flexbooks and want to better incorporate assignments in your class, either using CK12 groups or integrated learning management systems.
The last pathway gives you the option to build your own learning schedule for this summer. This allows you to take multiple 101 classes to get an overview of CK12 resources, or advanced editing and customizing practice to learn more about specific features. Plus, you can take more than the required 7 sessions and maybe even join us for all of them.
Whether you are on a set pathway or designing your own experience, you will master comprehensive skills for customizing and delivering content. Additionally, you'll receive certification at no cost and on your own schedule. We hope you'll advertise your CK12 Certified Educator status with your professional networks, on your web pages, and through social media. We have a new shiny badge for you to make this statement. For those of you completing this program, keep an eye out in the next couple of weeks for taking this one step further and becoming what we're calling a champion for CK12. We'll be hosting 2 extra optional sessions the last week of the program for all of you who've become certified educators and give you tools to become even more involved with CK12.
Yes, one of the most exciting pieces to come out of this program for us is having a whole group of you that know about CK12 and can continue to share it with others. One of your biggest benefits of participating in our summer program is joining other educators from around the world. As of this morning, we have over 900 users sign up for the program from over 50 countries, and this number is growing all the time. We're hoping that in addition to learning more about CK12, this program will connect you with the greater professional learning community and network of educators in your geographic or subject area.
To help foster this growing community, we have several things set up for you. The first is our CK12 Cafe, which is a place for teachers and students to get help and have discussions. I would encourage you all to join the general Jumpstart for Educators Cafe. Here you can reply to our post and introduce yourself and where you're from, or start a new thread with any questions you have about CK12 or the Certified Educator program.
We also have office hours specifically for these summer sessions. Individuals or groups of teachers can sign up for a 30-minute session with CK12 team members. To do so, go to our ck12.org/certified2017 page. Choose a time slot and sign up. You'll receive a confirmation email and we'll follow up with details for joining us for that window of time. During office hours, you can get specific questions answered about CK12 just like you can on our webinars, or you can tell us more about your school or district and we can talk about suggestions and best practices for you. It's very informal. We're here to help.
So, just to quickly recap, here are the things you need to do to complete the summer certification program. You need to attend 7 live sessions. Complete the accompanying assignments, each take only about 20 minutes, and complete the final feedback form to request your certification. And that's it. At this point, welcome to CK12 Certified Educator status.
For each session you attend, we have created an accompanying assignment, which is required to become CK12 certified. As Lindsay said, they're only about 20 minutes each and are designed to complement the webinars with steps to explore CK12, give you a start on customization, and think about next steps. You'll have a week to complete each of these Google Forms, which we will share in the chat window and each follow-up email.
You're also going to find it on the Certified Educator Program resource page at www.ck12.org/certified2017. This is different from the registration page. Once the program gets going, this is going to be your main page to help with everything you need to know. In addition to the office hours, you're going to find resources and help articles for each session, as well as links to all of the assignments. Each session will be recorded and added to the archived webinars section of this page.
Don't forget, you can go to ck12.org/jumpstart to register for any session at any time throughout the program. If any of you out there are joining us today and have not signed up for the full program with 7 sessions, it's not too late to create your own pathway and become CK12 certified. Similarly, if you miss a session for any reason, you can sign up for a future session on that page.
Okay, so I want to go through a few frequently asked questions that have come up as we've been building this program. So what happens if I have to miss a live session? You can miss one live session, watch the recording, and turn in an assignment and still meet the requirements of this program. How can I cancel a session? Your reminder emails that you got a day before this webinar and an hour before this webinar, they all contain a link for cancellation. If you have trouble with this, you can always email jumpstart@ck12.org if you need help with cancellation or registration. And then a common one is, can I get professional development credit from my district for participating in the program? And the answer is that depends. CK12 will provide a certificate documenting the hours for any live webinar sessions you attended. It's up to you and your district on how they interpret or honor these hours for professional development credit.
So that was a lot of information. We want to emphasize that it's okay not to get certified too, although we encourage you to do so. Our intent is to give you professional development, and we don't want the program's requirements to get in the way of your learning. Feel free to register for individual webinars at any time, and you can always watch archived webinars on your own schedule. It's your summer and your experience.
Okay, at this point, I think it's appropriate to ask what you guys are all thinking about certification. So we're going to launch a poll. You should see it on your screen here. And it's one question. What we want to know is, after learning more about the CK12 Certified Educator program, which pathway do you intend to complete this summer? And so you can see the 3 options that we just explained: the content, intelligent, or custom pathway, or no pathway if your plan is to attend individual webinars. So if you could go ahead and select an answer. We're seeing live results come in. Looks like about 2/3 of you have answered the question. Waiting for a few more. Okay, we're going to give you about 10 more seconds, and then we're going to actually show you the results. Okay, ending the poll, and we'll show you guys the results. I think it's interesting to see that the majority of you are going with the custom pathway option. Here, let's show results.
Great, yeah. I think it makes sense that since we're all about customizing and personalized learning, that you guys have taken that on yourself as well to customize your pathway. But we love to also see people that are interested in flexible customization, as well as the adaptive practice and kind of taking that next step. And then those of you joining us just for this session, we encourage you that if it works out, to join us for as many as you can this summer.
Okay, I think that was a lot of information, and now's a good place to stop and pause and see what questions we have coming in. I don't know, do we have anything in our Q&A window right now? Let's see.
So it looks like we have a question about badges being for different pathways. Right now, we're just certifying you kind of at that general CK12 understanding. For each of the pathways, we made sure to include pieces that expand beyond just Flexbooks or expand beyond adaptive practice. So in that case, you'll be able to kind of get that CK12 Certified Educator badge with a core understanding in one of those areas, and then a general understanding of some of the other areas within CK12.
So we have another question that's asking, does the sequence of courses matter?
So I would say that they're listed in the order that we think makes the most sense for you guys to work with. Clearly, it's recommended that you take Flexbooks 101 before you learn about advanced editing. But if that doesn't work for your session or your schedule, then you can kind of mix and match as you need to do so. You may want to join and check out just some general pieces on archived webinars if that works out. The using Flexbooks or practice with students, you could take at any point in time for those strategies. But that's kind of the suggested order, and then based on your schedule, join us however you can possibly make that work.
Okay, let me take on, you guys are doing great with this Q&A window. Let me answer several of these right now. We have a question on what if I signed up for sessions but now need to change them? And like I said, you have a cancellation link in your reminder emails. And so you can cancel that and then re-sign up for any session that you would like to take. If you have any trouble with that, just email us and we can help you with that process. But you are able to do it through your reminder emails. We've got questions about the archived webinars and when will we get a copy of this webinar. We should, within a day, usually is our turnaround time, to get the recording of the session on YouTube and to you guys. So, so they will be available for you to go back and watch or to share with your different colleagues. A few comments about badges, that maybe we should offer different badges in the future, and absolutely we appreciate any suggestions like this. This is a brand new program, and we're doing our first round of CK12 certification, but certainly in the future we may continue to diversify our badges and our system. A couple more I'll field right now is when will the extra courses after certification be available? And these are really bonus sessions that are in development as we see the people who are progressing through pathways and are serious about completing certification. We'll be sending out emails that have those dates because we know you guys need some advanced planning time, and we will be getting those to you. Sorry for the vagueness right now, but kind of coming up in the next week, we should be able to announce when those dates are. Trying to see, it looks like there's kind of the rest of the questions in the Q&A. I think our team here, we've got Star, we have Niru, we have Carl, and a lot of them, in addition to, you'll see Lindsay and Katie, we're all going to be weighing in on some of your questions. So if I haven't addressed it live, people will be answering your questions by text. But for now, I think we're going to go ahead and continue talking to the next, we're going to continue going with this session. And but keep using that Q&A window, and all questions will be answered throughout this session.
Great, thanks Lindsay, and thanks for bringing those questions in. We'll continue to address them as she said. So we're going to move into our section on the CK12 Foundation. So the CK12 Foundation was founded in 2007, and it's a leading nonprofit organization that's dedicated to improving student learning by increasing access to educational materials through both our Flexbook platform and concept-based modalities.
So what does that mean? Well, we at CK12 believe that every child on this planet should have equal access to, sorry, I lost it. We at CK12 believe that every child on this planet should have equal access to great education. All students are unique. Each has a different pace of learning, different interests, and different goals. But with limited time and resources, it's a challenge to treat students as individuals and cater to their varied needs. So our philosophy is that learning is a personal journey. And the CK12 Foundation was founded with the mission to enable everyone to learn in his or her own way. We pair high quality content with the latest technologies, and we equip students, teachers, and parents with everything they need for free.
CK12 is able to offer its resources for free thanks to the generous funding of a private family foundation. Not only are we a nonprofit, but we are a non-revenue nonprofit. You will never be asked for your credit card information on our site. You're not going to hit a paywall, and you won't be bombarded with advertisements. Free means free on CK12.
Although it is offered for free, when you use a CK12 resource, you can trust that it's the highest quality. CK12 is used across the world by students and teachers and districts because it is the best content, not because it is free. We visit schools all the time, some of those schools who aren't bound by any budget constraints, and they still use CK12 because they know it's what's best for student learning. Our content's been developed by hundreds of people with PhDs, professors, teachers, authors, NASA scientists, and other subject matter and domain experts for over the past 10 years. Our content is accessible. We've worked hard to make all of our content available across every platform in both print and digital format. And CK12's global impact is incredible. It's hard to measure, but we're guessing over 15 million active users represented in over 200 countries worldwide.
These are just a few of the many, many reasons why educators choose CK12. As part of our 10th anniversary, we've been traveling around the country and seeing how CK12 is being used not only as a cost-saving solution, but as the best curriculum for today's students. Let me share some of our conversations with these districts in this 2.5-minute video.
Back in the summer of 2014, our superintendent challenged us to find a way to save a lot of money with textbooks. And so the way around the traditional adoption purchase of textbooks in our district was to go the CK12 route. We're such a large district. When we buy textbooks, they're about $85 each, and when you have to buy 18,000 at a time, it comes out to be between $1.5 and $2 million. If you're not spending that money on textbooks, you can spend it on something else, and that's what we decided to do.
We needed new materials. We had materials that were quite old, and we weren't engaging our kids in science. So we wanted to look for a new way to be able to teach and learn with our students. CK12 was an obvious choice for us for a couple of different reasons. Number one, we were able to experience some cost savings with it. The content is rich, it's engaging to students, and it's flexible. So it allows us to really tailor the tools to meet the needs of the instruction.
We really have come to see this product come to life in the classroom. Our teachers have really taken this product and incorporated it into their daily instruction. Their students are even creating their own textbooks. So if we have language learners, if we have special education students, or just an individual who is ready to advance for pursuing, the information that's available, online textbook allows us to customize that and allows students, teachers, parents even to explore that.
As we think about customizable content, it's a tool that we use to buy relevance with our kids. In using the CK12 content, we have the ability to upgrade, update, and customize every math problem, every science experiment with people, places, and things that our students know and understand. We buy relevance that can't be purchased in textbooks.
If you can engage student, you're going to increase learning. And I believe that with the different modalities that CK12 provides for our students to learn, a student is going to find a component within CK12 that brings that learning to life for them.
That's just a small snippet of what teachers and administrators and students have been telling us as we've been traveling across the country, seeing how CK12 is being used in action. If you want to hear more from our users, you can go to this new CK12 testimonials page and hear what teachers, administrators, and students are saying about CK12. And we're going to be highlighting many of these testimonials throughout our presentations this summer.
Like that banner just said, CK12 is trusted worldwide. With users around the world, this map gives you a sense of CK12's reach, with more users being added each minute. We hope throughout this program you are able to interact with people in your area who are working toward common goals.
People often wonder how large the workforce is behind the CK12 learning platform. And believe it or not, this website is run by a small team of about 35 people in Palo Alto, California, with a few colleagues working outside of California and in our India office. And of course, dozens of subject matter experts, educators, and editors help us create the highest quality content. We love what we do and are thrilled to give people all over the world access to free, high-quality resources.
Right now, I'd like to introduce Mira Costa, who is CK12's Executive Director and Co-founder. As we said, it's exciting that she's joining us, and we want you to type any questions in the Q&A window that you might have for her. Mira, are you there?
Hello, good morning. I'm really excited to be here. Unfortunately, my video isn't working. So I'm going to just continue talking. This is so exciting. I can't even imagine in 10 years we would be here. This program put together is part of the hard work that the team does here. I am actually very proud of this team that is working very, very, very hard to get the right stuff to you so that you can teach and students can learn. This organization was started with the idea that we were going to provide you the best. I have 4 children, and with my 4 children, I gave them the best education that I could. So when I did that, and as they were going through their middle and high school, I started looking around and seeing, well, why is not everyone getting the best education that they can for their kids? Of course, there are lots of reasons, but one of the fundamental reasons is that they didn't have access to the kind of things they needed to learn. So from that came the idea of CK12. And you can see that when we started from basic flexbooks, which we started as a customizable textbook, aligned to standards, we quickly moved to the state we're in, which is that you could get standards aligned if that's what you needed, to customizable textbooks for each student with different levels of difficulty, with different examples. We believe in real world, so we kind of lead everything from the real world so that students can learn in context rather than trying to figure out the abstract notions of physics and chemistry and biology and mathematics as we focus on math and science. Lindsay said that we had 15 million people use us. Just want to make that clear that it was 15 million last year. We have more users that use us offline and in different ways that we don't have any count over. So it's really quite exciting that people are actually starting to use it. Not only do we now have somebody sitting in front of a computer, but we actually now, as I think Katie mentioned earlier, we have a very interactive program. We have students interacting through our simulations, particularly for physics and science, physics and chemistry now. And we have little interactive plexes, which we actually get a lot of information from. In the end, it's all about giving you a system that's about recommendations, about catching where students are not doing well, and helping them go through that. Our future is very exciting because as technology becomes more mature, we can use it in very wonderful ways to partner with passionate teachers like all of you. You could be on the beach right now, but you're here so that you could actually, help your students in the coming years. So I thank you for that, because I think it's going to make a difference. And I'm hoping that our efforts with what we are providing and your partnership is going to make a lot of difference to the whole world, bringing back education. I don't believe in gamification, and I don't really believe in, games. I want children to kind of understand the fundamentals of nature, fundamentals of science, fundamental of math, and be able to take those to higher levels in a deeper thinking ways. So hence we're starting with very fundamental foundational content that will actually take both the teacher and the student on a wonderful journey together for their future and the future of the world. I think I have a couple of questions that I'd like to kind of just take here. I don't want to take up most of the time for this program because it's so wonderful. I'm so excited just sitting here and listening and watching. And I want to thank you. There are lots of friends here who have been using CK12 for a long time, but they're here today because I think they're always trying to catch up with the new stuff that we provide every year. I think my statement about games was a little not clear. I wasn't talking about games per se, but I was talking about gamification, the way it's done in the tech world today. I think our own gamifications should be very carefully done rather than the way, kind of mindless thinking behind getting people to do something. I don't believe in that. Playing games is very important. My kids grew up in the school that they did their education in. Games was a big part of learning. So it's not that I don't believe in games, but I do think that these games need to be thought through very, very, very carefully and to the benefit of the learning of basics, at least in math and science. If there are no other questions, just want to close by saying the only thing that I would ask of you for feedback or to give back to us is give us feedback, use our content, because without your usage, we can't improve it. And share our site with your colleagues or other people on Twitter, on social network, on Facebook, and wherever you're active, so that other people can also use this. Well, there's one more.
Actually, you just answered that question because we just got a question from a user asking, is there a hashtag for tweeting about the certification program? I'd love to share it with the Twitterverse. And of course, like Mira just said, we really need your guys' help in paying this forward. And hashtag CK12 Foundation is our hashtag that we use for people to talk about it. So unless, Mira, if you had anything else to share, I want to thank you for sharing your philosophy and your thoughts and answering those user questions. And then, of course, for all you do for the CK12 Foundation to make it possible and keep things running.
Well, thank you, you guys. Katie and Lindsay have done a fantastic team with their team in this room that you can't see. But I really want to thank them for putting in so much effort. Please do justice. Thank you.
Awesome. So with that, again, keep the questions coming in the Q&A. We're going to stop again here in just a couple of minutes to field more of those. But I think now's a great time, since we just talked about our team and our users and our mission. Want to kind of graphically display to you that all of this didn't happen overnight. Like we said, CK12 was founded in 2007, so we're celebrating 10 years, which is awesome, and especially in the ed tech landscape, it really is something to celebrate. In 2008, Flexbooks were launched with fully customizable math and science textbooks, free for the world to download or view online. And then in 2010, CK12 added teacher editions that offered extensions like workbooks and quizzes and tests with corresponding answer keys. In 2011, our concept collections were introduced. And unlike original Flexbooks that offer full lesson plans and follow the structure of what you'd find in a more traditional textbook, these concept collections deconstruct the books into bite-sized chunks of information, similar to how teachers want to teach and students want to learn.
In 2012, we continue to break our content down into these individual concepts and present them in multiple modalities to fit different learning styles, allowing all students to learn their way and on any device. It was also the year when we were available on desktops, tablets, and mobile phones. To encourage discussion and collaboration, classes and study groups were created in 2013. This allows students to share CK12 resources and for teachers to create class assignments. The latest, greatest initiatives from CK12 continue to develop personalized learning experiences through our simulations and PLIX interactives, as well as our intelligent adaptive practice system that currently offers over 150,000 math, science, and spelling practice questions.
So we just told you that we took our Flexbooks and broke them down into bite-sized concepts. What you're looking at here, circular motion, is an example of one of these concepts. So like when a student might go to Google and search for circular motion, they can do the same thing on CK12 and arrive at a concept page with content that has been curated and vetted by us. This is where students can really learn their way through these different modalities, such as simulations or study guides. Unlike when students are learning through a printed text, where all they can do is read, CK12 concepts come alive with interactive content. These days, students no longer look through a table of contents. They want to use a search bar and have choice in how they learn any concept. Also, what a great tool for students who want to get ahead or those that need information or options to learn a concept. This page truly differentiates learning.
As you saw, there are a number of different ways to learn any concept on CK12. We enrich every concept with modalities to help meet students' needs in the best way possible. Our core modalities include text, simulations, our interactive PLIX, videos, practice, and even real-world applications. You're going to learn more about these different types of modalities throughout all of our summer sessions. But let's see what you all are using already. So we're going to launch a poll in a sec, and please take a few minutes to just select which of these modalities that you're currently using in your classroom. Feel free to choose all that apply: reads, simulations, PLIX interactives, videos, assessments, real-world applications, or none of the above if you're using something else or you're brand new to CK12. So we'll give you a second or two to kind of answer that poll there.
Yeah, wow, you guys are getting good at these polls. Looks like we've almost got all of the answers locked in. And once again, we'll show you the results. It's kind of interesting how you guys are using our site. So we'll give you about 10 more seconds.
Great, so I think we'll wrap up the poll there and share these results. It looks like most of you guys are using kind of our Flexbook textbooks or the reads that go with them. But it's also great to see that so many of you guys have started using our simulations and our interactives, the assessments, that adaptive practice piece, as well as the videos. And then we have a whole core of you guys that kind of aren't using these resources yet and maybe are new to CK12, and we're always excited to have you guys join us.
And that's why you're here, right? Is to learn about these modalities and start putting them to use in your classrooms and your schools. I also want to show you, while we're talking about concepts, that you can connect all of these concepts with one of our newer features. Our platform allows teachers and students to choose their own pathways of learning and teaching, but we provide tools like our concept map to help show how concepts relate to one another, even across disciplines. So as you encounter links for the concept map on our site, take a few minutes to explore this rich tool.
So I think at this point in time, let's stop for a couple of questions that I've seen come in. One is asking about learning about PLIX and simulations more, and we're definitely covering those in our PLIX and simulations webinar. So there are 3 offerings of that this summer, and if you're not registered, I recommend you sign up for that. We got a question about posting to Google Classroom, and I'll definitely show you guys the easy way to do that as I'm demoing in the next section of this webinar. And then a question about where the name CK12 comes from, and we have this great shirt that has C for create and collaborate and kind of all of these different things that that C can stand for, and then the K12 is kind of the K12 education space that we are working in. So with that in mind, we did start as a middle school and high school math and science core content, and we've started to expand into elementary school. So you'll see some practice videos and assessment for K5 or grade 1 through 5 math. And then we just recently launched science books for kindergarten through 5th grade. So hopefully you'll see that. And we also will show you kind of that community contributed piece. I know that there's some questions about other content that might not be something that we're hosting, but allowing users to host content within our license kind of allows us to present material beyond even our core math and science content. So I think we'll go from there.
Yep. Again, keep using that Q&A window. Keep the chat going, the conversation in the chat window. But we're going to go to just sort of a live demo here. We think to set you up for success for this program, and since we know that you guys are going to be excitedly exploring CK12 as soon as you're off this webinar, we want to make sure that everybody's clear on how to sign in, kind of the basics of navigation so you can explore all CK12 has to offer. We're also going to highlight a few features that just launched in the past few months. So I'm going to kick it over to Katie, who's going to share her screen and give you a tour of CK12.
Great, thanks, Lindsay. So let me share this screen, and hopefully you guys can see actually this is kind of your main page. You notice at the top that it says switch to student version, so I'm going to log in as a teacher for this piece. And this is just meant to be the simplest, quickest, here's some stuff. We're not going to go into any detail except a couple new features, because that's really what the rest of this program is for. But we want to make sure that you guys know how to get on. So if you're not used to CK12 or you don't have an account yet, just click the join button. You can sign up with Google, Facebook, or create your own account. And you can do the same thing once you've signed in. So if you want to just sign in, I'm going to sign in with Google because I'm already logged into my Google account. And it was that simple. Now this takes you to your dashboard. So if you have picked subjects or you have groups already started, you can kind of see that, recently viewed topics, trending topics, as you go through there. And at the top, you can navigate. So you could go to your groups, your library, where all of your core content that you've customized can be found, the cafe, which we'll talk about as a great place to kind of talk to others and ask questions, or you can browse subjects. And then the CK12 logo is great because it will always take you back to our homepage. So we're going to kind of start there. And if you know nothing else, kind of the first thing, you can always search. But while we're on this homepage, I want to point out two other pieces. This teacher version of the homepage includes a standards browser for Common Core and Next Generation. So feel free to check those out. And you can also search for books that are already aligned to your state or one of those two options for alignment. So feel free to check those. But let's get into this core content. Let's say I am teaching a unit on circular motion. If you know nothing else, you can just type in circular motion and we'll pop up some options and we can click on that. And this is the one that Lindsay showed earlier today. So I can go to that concept page and I can actually see the featured content. I can see all the different ways that a student could learn this or a teacher could teach this, including some assessments and real-world applications. So there you can see all of your modality types. So that's kind of the simple. You can search that way. Super simple, straightforward. If I go back to that home page, let's go back and do some browsing. And I could browse from the bottom of this home page. So down here, you'll see options to browse our Sims, our Plix Interactives, our Practice, and our Schools page. So this is a great place. If you click on that, you can then pick a state and see what content that other schools have created near you. So that might be an awesome place to explore. And then if I go down to into the subject areas, because I picked subjects, it's showing me those options. But if I click all subjects, you'll see kind of the content that CK12 offers, either that we've developed or that we've worked with a partner or a respected source that has donated some content to us. So with that idea, let's actually go into one of these pieces. We're going to go into algebra because we just talked about circular motion, so we'll switch it up a bit. And this takes you to our concept page. Here you can see all of the different concepts that we offer resources for that are related to algebra, and also a Flexbook textbook tab. So if I click over there, you can see your Flexbooks for middle school, and even one that kind of gets a little bit exploration before middle school. And then I can click on high school, and I can see the books that go there. And you might see two different options. You'll see kind of your Algebra 1 and your Algebra 1 second edition. Our concept collections took those original Flexbooks and broke them down into those bite-sized chunks of concepts and allow you to kind of then explore those concepts either within that book or back here on the concept page. So let's pick one of these here, the definition of a variable, and go in there. And just like the circular motion option, this presents all of the resources available for that topic. So here you'll see reads, which are the same as in a Flexbook, a Plix Interactive, some videos and assessments. And I want to point out a couple of different things. So I'm actually going to use this concept and stop sharing my screen for a second and switch over to share a different one, because I'm going to log in as a student.
Katie, we actually have several questions that just came in about the difference between teacher and student accounts. So maybe this is an okay time to answer a few of those. So here's kind of an overview of what people are asking. Like, what is the difference between a student and a teacher account? When people log in, what's to stop a student from signing up as a teacher, and do they get secret access to anything? And do we vet these teacher accounts at all? So why don't, just explain our philosophy behind the different user types.
Great. So at this point in time, there's not a lot of difference between the teacher and the student account. As a teacher, you can create assignments. So that's kind of one of the big pieces. The standards browser, as you can see, so I'm now in a student account. So I logged in kind of the same way, just using Google. Instead of, if I go to this homepage, instead of the browsers or for standards or the schools icon, they actually have a link to study guides. So that's kind of the biggest difference you would see on the main page. A student could sign in as a teacher. We actually have students across the world using our site, and some of them are homeschooling and some of them are learning on their own. And so we didn't want to restrict that access, and we wanted them to be able to kind of get the full understanding and full learning, whether they're doing it within a classroom with a teacher or they're doing it on their own. If you're worried about answer keys, which are kind of the big question that comes up with students getting access to teacher accounts, then we recommend that you use our adaptive practice system, because that allows students to kind of practice, and there's not an answer key per se, but once they've done that practice, then they can see how they've done. So that's kind of the big piece in terms of why we allow for either one. If you want to create assignments and use a standards browser, then I would recommend that you all sign up as teachers. But for students learning on their own, then they have that option as well.
A couple more questions related to that. A question asking, of course, like how we help to safeguard student data, what we have in place for that. And then teachers asking about kind of linking a personal account with a school account. So a couple more things on that teacher-student login. Sorry, and one more. Teacher was asking why she's not seeing the standards browser. So I'm guessing that's a student-teacher issue as well.
Okay, let's see if I can remember all of those questions. So if you're not seeing the standards browser, then you want to just click up at this top. So switch to teacher version. And that will bring you to the homepage teacher version, and now you'll be able to see that standards browser. And then I'm going to go back to switch to the student version because I want to show you shortly the difference between a couple of those pieces. We had a question about student data. We will never sell student data. We are happy to kind of talk to any schools and work with them to make sure that we meet the requirements for their district for student data. So definitely check that piece out. And then we had a question about kind of, maybe Lindsay can repeat the last one.
I think it was a teacher asking about personal account versus a teacher account, how to log in.
And just to add one more piece to that other piece about student data, we're a nonprofit once again, so we're working with that. We're not a company that's trying to sell any information to you guys. So if you have concerns, once again, just kind of contact us. Logging in as a teacher or a student, feel free to check your account up in the top right, and you can look at your settings and kind of see if you're logged in. You can see your different profile pieces. So notice here that I am a student in some state. I could add any information that I wanted to. So if you needed to update that to a teacher, go ahead and do so. And then there's a question about kind of linking your personal account and your school account. So because we use email addresses as the unique identifier for each of these accounts, we can't merge those accounts in the same way. So you want to make sure that you're signing up the same account at the same time. If you needed to update that So if you're changing schools and you wanted to keep all your stuff and update that in your settings, then make sure that you kind of update your stuff. You can kind of update different pieces, change your notifications, etc.
Okay, great questions. There's a lot that are about learning management systems, which we'll probably address toward the end of this webinar, or again, we've got a whole separate session on that. Also some questions about UGC, but right now, Katie, why don't I let you go ahead and kind of continue your navigation tour, but the questions, we'll get to all of them, so please keep them coming, but I want you to continue to show people other things on our site.
Great, thanks, Lindsay. So as I said, that logo gets you back to the home page. So we are back in the student account. You can tell right off the bat because it shows study guides instead of that schools icon there. And I want to show one of the cool features that just got launched for our students. So if we go into algebra, and when you're on a concept page, you have all of those modalities easily accessible. But what happens if you're working within a book? So if I pulled up this Algebra 1 Concepts book, as a student account, I can click on that first chapter, that first section, and in addition to the text that you would see in the read as a teacher or in the modality page, we've now just launched this new practice widget because we're really trying to encourage students to apply what they're learning. So that might be something that most of you guys probably haven't seen because it just barely got launched. So that's the full practice, and students can work on it when they're in the kind of that isolated space of that read. And then they can always go down and kind of explore other areas, figure out what's happening, there's your vocabulary, and kind of learn in other options. But we really wanted to show that option for kind of accessing practice from a student.
So Katie, is that practice widget just for math?
Our practice widgets were any concept-based. So if you notice on this one, this is a part of that concept collection, and so it's tagged to one of our concepts. And we have stuff tagged for math and science. And so you'd see that kind of in either one of those pieces as it's available. If I go back to the book, I want to show you one other thing that we launched recently that I think would be super exciting for a lot of you guys. Right here, you can see our offline reader. We know that offline access is a big deal for a lot of teachers and students that don't have consistent internet. And so if you click on that, it will allow you to open this reader in Chrome, and then you can download a book offline and access it. We also have a Flexbook app that works as well. And that's one of those places where I would kind of check out at the bottom our tools and apps page. And this will show you all of the apps that we have here. So our Flexbook app, which allows offline access, our Sims app, our practice app, so students can do their work on their phone. And then for those of you guys that were asking about learning management systems, here's some information on Google Classroom, Edmodo, Schoology, Canvas, etc. So we are doing an entire session on learning management systems. So if you are using one, we recommend that you join us then. But if you just want to get jump started and read some more, definitely check out that tools and apps page. And there's one little thing about Google Classroom that might be awesome for you guys. If I go back a page for a second, this green little floating SharePlane at the bottom here, that makes it super easy to share directly to Google Classroom. So definitely kind of check that out as an option to share from there.
So one big grouping of questions that came in were about other non-STEM content like language arts and social studies. So do you want to go back to that schools page and maybe talk about our user-generated content and good places to get a start with non-STEM content?
Sure, and I'm going to switch back to the teacher one. I could switch within this version, but I just want to make it clean and kind of show you what we're working with. For this read, just to let you know, if you were accessing that same read from a teacher account and you wanted to see what that practice looked like for students, you could see it up here in this preview option or in one of the kind of details tabs for that book. But to go to the home page, so if we go there, this schools option, so you'll see a lot of content. We have some schools in Texas and Tennessee that have done a lot of work kind of doing stuff. So let's pick one of those. And you'll see kind of down here some options for social studies, if I can find them in here. So we have a little bit of English there, some government here. So there's definitely some options kind of with UGC content. And then if I go back and I search for a second, So literature, for example, let's say you're teaching that. We offer our CK12 content here, and that's the content that we curate. As Lindsay said, there are about 30, 35 of us that work here full-time. And so we content and curate, or we add content and curate our own tab. And then if you want to explore stuff that other users have done, you're welcome to click on this community contributed tab. And you might see some different options for reads or books. You can kind of filter by grade, by subject, or by type there. And that stuff, they're licensed under the same license. You know, if they've republished it on our site, then they can customize our content and add to it, or add their own license appropriate content to our site. But there's 150,000 variations of our textbooks on our site. So you'll see very similar versions with just a couple tweaks, and you might see brand new content. But you're welcome to explore that and decide if that's something that hits the level of what you want to work with, and go from there.
Okay, there are still some more questions that we're tackling here, but maybe just to be conscious of everybody's time, I'm going to continue talking to you just a few specifics about the follow-up assignment to this session and a few more review materials here. And then we're going to stay on and we're going to answer every single question that you guys might have. So let me go back to sharing my screen. And I want to talk to you. We told you that each session, for those of you who are here with the intent of becoming a CK12 certified educator, that there is assignment that accompanies this session. So you can see the link at the top of this page. We're using tiny URLs just to try to keep them manageable and short for you guys. And you'll see that each session has a unique identifier at the end of that tiny URL. We're going to chat it out in the window, and you guys are going to get it in a follow-up email, and it will be on our master page for this program. But this is what an assignment's going to look like. We do them through Google Forms. We're going to ask you to complete 3 sections for this particular webinar assignment. And the first one's going to ask you about your learning goals for the summer and what skills you're hoping to develop and what resources you're hoping to use or create on CK12. And then the second section is going to kind of do a guided exercise helping you to explore CK12's concepts and get a better idea of what resources best meet your needs. And then the third section is going to ask you to join the CK12 Jumpstart for Educators Cafe and begin interacting with hundreds of program participants. And so we request that you guys complete these assignments within a week. It'd be great to do it today as things are fresh on your mind and you're eager to explore. But we do need this from you to pair with your live webinar attendance if you are wanting to get CK12 certified status. So here are some upcoming sessions that I just wanted to highlight. Again, this is session number 1 of our whole slate of programming this summer. So you might want to attend maybe Adopting CK12 Curriculum. That's happening tomorrow morning, and then it's offered 3 times this summer about where to get started with CK12, and particularly if you're looking at moving forward with Flexbooks in your district. And then tomorrow afternoon is Flexbooks 101, where it is answering a lot of these questions you guys have about how to pick a Flexbook, how to start customizing it and localizing it to your needs. And then Groups in Practice 101. So aside from our Flexbooks, how do you start using our adaptive practice system and getting assignments out to your students? Go to our registration page and sign up for more sessions if you need to. And you can do that at ck12.org/jumpstart. And then lastly, this isn't required, but we always want your guys' feedback. Like we said, session number 1. So you can go to this tiny URL that's the feedback form, and this is going to be the same form for every session we run this summer. Anytime you have some feedback that you want to give us, things that went well, things that we could do better, go to this link and tell us what you thought of the webinar. We really appreciate it. We do go through every single response, and we'll continue to make modifications to improve these webinars. So again, thank you for joining us today. You are supported by our team. We We are people, we answer the phone, we respond to emails. So if you email us at support@ck12.org, you're going to get a response to any of your questions. And then, of course, we want you to let your social networks know about CK12 and your participation in our webinars. If you are excited by what you heard today, encourage your colleagues to jump on board with the program. They can still, sign up, get on a pathway, attend individual sessions. So we're counting on you guys to help share that message and to get other people involved. So I think that's going to formally wrap up today's program. So those of you who are ready to sign off, you've got your questions answered, you are free to go, but we're going to stay on right now and we're going to start answering all the remaining questions. So keep them coming. We are here. Why don't I kick it back over to Katie, because you probably know what's waiting for us.
Great. Thank you so much, Lindsay. And as we said, we'll stay on and answer until you guys stop asking us questions. But if you're all set, you're welcome to sign off. But you may stick around and learn some extra things. So I'm going to try to answer some of the broad questions and then go back into ones that might require some actual demo on our site to answer. So we got a great question earlier about professional learning communities and having resources. Those 2 champion webinar sessions that we briefly mentioned today will be the last week of the program, and we'll put together some materials that you can then use in that. So that's a great question to come in. We had some questions about kind of watching live but not signing in. We definitely kind of ask you guys to log in so you can see everything, but definitely let us know if there's any glitch and you have questions. If you register for more than 7 sessions, can you watch the extra sessions? You're welcome to watch any of the archive videos that we have available just to learn new topics, or join us live if you have questions for any of those. And if you do miss a session, definitely check the archived webinar and turn in the assignment that matches it. We encourage you guys to try to do that's at least 6 of those live. That's kind of what we set as the standard for this program, just so that you can be part of that community and you can get your questions answered right then and there while you're in the moment learning. If there's some issue, just email us at Jumpstart and we can kind of make sure that you get that taken care of and go from there. If you are typing in this window right now and asking us questions, then you have signed in just by clicking that link. So if that's where your question is, then definitely the system just records kind of everyone who logged in today. So there's your sign in for today. So you are good to go. And where do we go to fill out the assignment for this session? They missed the information. So we're going to send up a follow-up email with that link again. Star posted in the chat window, and maybe she can post it again, that tiny URL for today's assignment. And then we'll send you kind of the link to the whole general page that Lindsay mentioned that will give you the link for the assignment for that particular session as well. The general link to the survey, Star is going to post one more time as well if you just wanted to do feedback. And that is your tinyurl.com CEP, which stands for Certified Educator Program 2017 feedback. So you'll be able to see that part. And then we had a great question about where do I find stuff for grade 6 out of the whole collection? And I think that is kind of one of those pieces that, where do I find content on CK12? So I'm actually going to go back to here, and I'm going to share this screen. And notice here where I search this content, I can actually filter by grade. So that's one option. If you're doing a search for content, feel free to filter by grade and kind of see what resources show up for that grade level. The other option is to go into our content. So if you are teaching math, then anytime you click on one of these topics, you can kind of see different areas. So our Flexbook textbooks for middle school, you'll see grade 8, grade 7, and over here a grade 6 math book, and a grade 6 math concept book. So if you're looking for those books there, that might be a great option for math level grade 6. And then for science, it really depends on kind of how your school structures your science content. So I'm going to go click on Browse here just so you see a different option. And let's say physical science might be a topic covered in middle school. So if that's what you were covering, you could then pick any of those Flexbook textbooks and kind of go through there. So anything that says for middle school, if that's the topic that you're covering there, then you can definitely check that out as you go through. So let's see what other questions we have here. We talked about assignments and links. We have a question about signed in using a different address than the one that they registered with. If you email us when we do your final form for certification, just tell us which email address you registered with, which email address you logged in with. If there's any discrepancy, just put both of them in the same one, and we'll cross-check our records and make sure that you get credit for both of those, and you should be good to go from there. So I think I've answered the questions that are in here. We'll give you guys a few extra minutes to answer or ask any other questions before we go for here. We had a question about middle school and high school, or is there material for elementary school? So if we go back to that home page, you'll see here, if we go to all subjects, we have grades 1 through 5 math content, and this content really includes practice and videos for that level at this point in time that we have created. In that algebra piece, there was one algebra exploration part. Beyond that, you'd want to look in our community contributed content for elementary math content. And then if I went back to browse for a second and I went to science, let's look at all of the science topics. We just this spring launched 6 elementary science books. So I would definitely check that piece out and see if there's some materials there. If you're looking for elementary materials outside of STEM, or general content outside of STEM, then I would search within our search bar and look at that community contributed tab, or check one of the schools pages for any content from kind of nearby schools, because those will be probably the most closely aligned to your standards. We had a question about being part of a charter school and would like to invite the principal and assistant principal to CK12. So you are more than welcome to do so. You can just share CK12 in any way. Once again, that little green share plane, or you can kind of share that link, ck12.org/jumpstart, to register for this program. So definitely feel free to invite them yourselves. And if you wanted to kind of share that another way, then you're welcome to kind of contact us and we can go from there.
Woo, that was rapid fire, Katie. Again, we're gonna keep staying on here as you guys continue to have questions. A couple just came in about registering for sessions.
Great, so I think what I'll do is I'll go to our registration page, because that will probably clear up a lot of questions on registering. So this is our registration page. If you need to register for a session that you missed, you're welcome to just go to the individual webinar sessions, and you can pick a time for any of these. And it looks like in here we have the content pathway. Actually, it looks like there might be just a glitch in the system, so come back, check that out in a little bit. We'll get that up and running. It should have all of those webinar options on it for you there. If there's any issue and you're seeing that, just email Jumpstart and we'll make sure that page gets reset so that you guys can see all of those options. So definitely check that out there. We'll go from there. Register for more courses. In general, that would be the way to do it. If you're looking for, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, Katie, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
So definitely check that page out. If you kind of refresh it and go from there, then we'll get that up and running and we'll double check it right after we get off of here and make sure you're good to go. When you click on that register, that is where you'd be able to see kind of the list of courses in the recommended order that we take them, at least for kind of the Flexbook pieces or the adaptive practice pieces. We had a question about joining the cafe. So let's click over there for a second. And here you'll be able to see the cafe options. So Jumpstart for Educators is the one that we'd recommend you join for this summer. And here you can see our welcome to the CK12 Certified Educator program. Just like you guys introduced yourselves within today's webinar and got to kind of meet and greet a bunch of people in the webinar, we encourage you to introduce yourselves here as well. And that way kind of you can meet the broader group of people, because we're hosting this intro session, I think 6 times throughout the summer. We'll have another batch of a few hundred this afternoon that are coming through as well. So definitely check that session out. But you can also see back on that cafe page that we have kind of our Plix forums, a math corner, a science corner for students to get questions answered or ask questions about science and math, or kind of explore and respond to questions from the Plex piece. So we have that part there, so definitely check those options out. And we have a question about that says, I registered for all the sessions, but the CK12 account is giving me a choice to register. It may just be that it had, like, because you registered before that kind of pop-up window showed up, that you are still receiving that. You can just close out of that, or you could click on the registration page and kind of go from there. But that should be disappearing shortly anyway as we kind of work our way through this program. And we have someone that says, I signed up to complete the content pathway, but I'd like to switch to a custom pathway. You can take any seven webinars or only the 7 listed. So in the custom pathway, there's actually all 11 core webinars are listed there. So you can just let us know if you need to kind of cancel a registration for one of the ones you signed up for. And you can register for any extra ones or new ones kind of on that custom pathway or the individual sessions pathway.
Okay, so that cleared out the Q&A for the moment. We will wait and see what other questions you guys have for us. Okay, last call for any questions before we sign off for this morning. Oh, there's one.
So we had 2 questions that came in, one about kindergarten users. We do have the different pieces that will kind of show different parts for elementary. So we have some elementary users, just kind of based on our system, and the fact that we just kind of are starting to expand some of our elementary content and users are creating elementary content, we definitely have more middle school and high school users. But you'll see some elementary users kind of across the board. And if you have resources for them, we encourage you guys to publish them under our licensing, and encourage other elementary and kindergarten teachers to go from there. If you are looking for what pathway you signed up for, just check your registration email. So you would have gotten an email for each session you signed up for. If they're basically all about Flexbooks, you probably signed up for the Flexbooks pathway. If they're about adaptive practice and customizing learning and learning management systems, then the learning management pathway. And if you have a mix of registration confirmations, then you signed up for the custom pathway. So just whatever day you signed up, go check your inbox and check those registrations, and those all have your links. And if you have any questions about what pathway, or you need to update stuff and you're not able to find it, just email Jumpstart as you go through. Will we get a notice of completion of this session? You will actually get an email that gives you the links that we talked about today, and if you attended. And then if you missed the session, we'll send you an email that says, hey, we're sorry you missed us. Here are the next 2 offerings, or the next offerings of that session. We recommend you register for one of those. We have a question about reports to see progress of students by class. Yes, there are reports. You'll find those in your groups feature, and we'll be covering that in depth in our practice sessions. So definitely join us for those ones there. Then we have a question about school accounts not having email, so they signed up with a personal account. Can you shift your badges to the account and or link them? You're welcome to email us and update. Your badge will send to you based on the email you registered with, but if you'd like us to use a different one in that final form when we kind of complete everything for the program, just let us know that you'd like it to be associated with a different email, and we'll go from there. Great. So we got another question in about students needing an email address to use CK12. It's super simple to invite them if they do have an email address, but we know a lot of our elementary schools don't always have email addresses for their students. So in the groups webinars, we'll show you how to add students to your group that don't have an email address. And if you want to kind of import a whole school set of email addresses, then you can talk to us about those options. So that would be under the class and groups place. So a great example of that is Groups and Practice 101, which, as Lindsay just posted back on here, is being offered this Wednesday at 3 p.m., not 3 a.m. Definitely join us for that one or one of the later Groups and Practice sessions, and we will show you how to do that. So I think probably at this point in time, we will wrap up. If you have other questions that are coming in, check out our forums, join us for another session, email support or jumpstart@ck12.org, and we'll continue to answer your questions as we go through, or sign up for one of those office hours. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. We are signing off.